The world did not start with silence. It started with a loud roar of violence. Many years after the first human beings left the garden, the number of people on Earth grew very fast. But as the population grew, so did the cruelty. The Earth, which was once beautiful and clean, was now ruined by human greed. People built huge cities out of dark stone, but they built them using force and unfairness. Warlords learned how to melt bronze and iron, but they did not use these metals to grow food. Instead, they used them to make weapons for war. A heavy sadness hung over the land, where the cries of poor people were drowned out by the mean laughter of rulers. Goodness completely disappeared, and the world was spinning out of control. Looking at the Earth during this time was like watching a terrible tragedy. Giant monuments built to show off human pride reached up into the dirty skies. Down below, everyday life was falling apart. Justice was completely forgotten, and people only cared about power and who had the sharpest sword. Men tried to act like gods, chasing after glory and hurting others to get it. They were completely blind to how bad their own hearts had become. The air felt heavy, like a storm was about to break at any moment. Every day, civilization took another step toward danger, yet people kept partying and acting proud, with no idea that time was running out. In the middle of all this darkness lived one different man. His name was Noah. He was not a king, a warlord, or a rich builder. In a world that praised people who were loud, mean, and corrupt, Noah's power came from his quiet life. He felt like a man from a different time, a living reminder of how the world used to be good. While the cities were full of wild parties and bad behavior, Noah walked alone in the quiet hills, keeping his heart close to God. He had to carry the heavy burden of seeing the truth when everyone else chose to be blind. Every time he saw someone get hurt, it broke his heart, but he refused to change. He stood firm like a single pillar, holding up the truth against a flood of human wickedness. Heaven looked down at the ruined earth with a sadness that is hard to imagine. The Creator's grief was not just a quick feeling, but a heavy weight that shook the universe. God was deeply sorry that he had made humans on the earth, and it broke his heart. The gift of free will had turned into a nightmare of constant hatred. A quiet voice spoke in the heavens, a decision to wipe the slate completely clean, to wash away all the bad things and let the world start over. But before the great storm could be released, God looked down and saw the one man who still remembered how to be good. The message did not come to Noah in a loud clap of thunder, but as a quiet, powerful understanding in his spirit. God told him that the end of all living things had come. The decision was final. The earth would be destroyed by a massive flood of water. Imagine how heavy that moment must have felt for Noah. He was chosen to be the only keeper of life on earth, given a job that made no sense to anyone around him. God commanded him to build an ark, a ship so huge that nothing like it had ever been seen before. And he had to build it in the middle of a dry, dusty land, nowhere near an ocean. It was a giant project built purely on faith, right in front of a mocking crowd. As Noah drove the first wooden stakes into the dry ground, his hardest test began. The plans were clear in his mind. Make it out of gopher wood, seal it with tar inside and out, and make rooms to hold a family of every living creature. Every time his axe hit a tree, and every time he shaped a piece of wood, Noah was sending a silent warning to the world that trouble was coming. The work was massive, requiring decades of hard, painful labor under the hot sun. His hands became rough, and his back grew tired from carrying heavy logs. Yet, day after day, the skies seemed to grow just a little bit darker, and the shadow of the coming flood crept closer to a world that refused to see it.